Hi, I'm Ted Haptegabber, founder and producer of Live Talks Los Angeles. Thanks for joining us. Since we started over a decade ago, we have brought you hundreds of conversations with storytellers, writers, actors, musicians, humorists, chefs, and thought leaders in business and science. You can watch and hear most of these in our YouTube channel and our podcast. For details, visit livetalksla.org. And now, here's the show you've tuned in to see.
We're here, of course, to celebrate your new book, which we're gonna dig into.
It's a lot of fun.
And talk about. But I want to start actually by grounding us in this city of ours, in this city that you call home, of Los Angeles. Let me list off some places. Ready? Mm-hmm. See if I get them all right. You were born on Temple Street in Echo Park.
I was actually born in Maywood.
See? Got it all wrong.
Because
right there.
the General Hospital was full. It was 1944, and there were all soldiers. So the General Hospital down here was full. And my mom, they had to rush her to Maywood for the hospital. And that's where I was born. Then they brought me back to Temple Street where we lived.
Okay, so you at a young age were in Echo Park on Temple. Mm-hmm. Your parents, if I have it right, met at a dance hall in Highland Park.
Yeah.
Okay. Bar. 1 for 2. At a bar. Yeah. We're going to get there. We're going to get into that. You've lived in Pacoima, San Fernando Valley, Venice. Used to hang out in Hollywood. You went to the Grauman's Chinese.
Yeah. We used to go to Grauman's Chinese, but I actually helped build
Cinerama Dome.
Cinerama Dome.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I was scared to go in it after I built it.
But even scarier was hanging out in Hollywood Forever.
Where?
Hollywood Forever Cemetery.
Oh yeah, that was kind of it's all right.
You used to cruise Van Nuys Boulevard. You tell us in the book you'd cruise Van Nuys down to Whittier. You've covered a lot of geography in Los Angeles. Could you talk a little bit about what this city means to you as a place?
Everything. I've been all over the world. I mean, because of what I do, the acting and stuff. And Gloria sent me all over the world, and there's no place. I don't care. I've been from Cape Town, South Africa, to what do you call the dike, with the finger in the Holland, and all just all over. And there's no place that I would rather be than right here in LA.
What would have been some of the great lessons that LA has taught you as a city?
The great legends?
Lessons.
Oh, lessons. What did that guy say? Beretta. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time. He learned that. But yeah, so lessons are just, this city is about giving. And if you're not a giver, you seem to be swallowed up some kind of way. If you're a taker, you end up like a hoarder by yourself, And so this is an open arms city. That's, I know that I started giving when I was like 25 years old, and I'd been taking most of my young life, and when I started giving, things changed. And you got to give without expecting any kind of reward.
Absolutely.
You just do it to feel good.
Yeah. So this new book, is centered around the cantina, which is both an actual cantina that your name is on, but also the book really is a tribute to the cantina, to the history of the cantina and the bars throughout Mexico, but specifically throughout Mexican Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. God, I used to run around. My dad, my uncle said, "Turn this down, just Kate. Turn it down just a little bit, will you? Can you hear me okay?"
Yeah.
Yeah, because I used to run around with my uncles, my dad, and they were drinkers. So I would, I'd be in bars in Olvera Street, and my dad used to get his hair cut across the street from Olvera Street. So I'd just be running around downtown, and then when we, I forget, from Temple Street I moved to Burbank, I think, because my aunt had a house in Burbank. It was haunted, and it was funny, but that's where I learned almost how to drive, because my dad and my uncle used to go out and put one on, and I'd have to drive them home at a young age. And my uncle Gilbert, he was like a different kind of guy. He wasn't like the working kind. He was like the drug dealing kind. And he seemed to be like the only one that was always happy. You're smoking weed. So he was very, very friendly and accommodating and stuff. And that's the thing that I found out growing up, that some people have time for you and some people don't. And you kind of tend to stay away from the people that don't have time for you. It's like I can remember like my mom being on the phone and saying, "Hey, Mom, just shut up." And my dad, don't bug my dad when he wants to like choke you or something. But Gilbert was cool. I said, "Hey, Gilbert, hold on. Yeah, what do you want?" And boom, that was it. That's my role model right there. And that's the way I want to be,
And that's another form of giving.
He was an armed robber and a drug addict, and so that's what we did. We bonded really close, and I got in a lot of trouble.
You start the book in that original cantina on Olvera Street, but then what I thought was really interesting, was learning about just how rooted you are, your whole biography, in the history of the city, the cantina in the heart of the original city. But then later in the book, there's a timeline of the greatest bars in Los Angeles that goes back to some of the earliest bars and restaurants in Hollywood, to Musso and Frank's, and you follow that tradition of bars and cantinas up to your own restaurant.
Yeah.
Why is that history so important to you?
What I remember, like I remember cantinas and bars. I remember that you could go in, and they would always have like a table, and it had like a spread on it. It had bologna, salami, minced ham, mashed potatoes, bread, and you would like drink and make yourself a sandwich, and that. You didn't even buy that. That came with the beer and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so people would stay. I mean, I remember kids in bars because everybody would eat. And I used to eat, and things changed. With I don't know when they changed. But things did change, and I like when people come into our place and feel at home, and we feel right at home. Everybody's real friendly, and everybody keeps asking me, "What's your secret?" Because my God, you've got 5 restaurants now, and they're all doing great with you. What is your no secret? It's good food. I mean, I have never heard anybody ask somebody, "Hey, babe, you want to go out? I know a place with really shitty food." Come on, it's like, I know a place that's great food. Even if I lie, it's great food. But it's like we've had the same people coming every day, and then we got a vegan menu because this is Los Angeles, so we got a vegetarian menu, and then I work with autistic kids, And doctors have said that children with autism don't do real well with gluten. You know, it's that it doesn't sit right with anybody, but it's worse for them. So let's do a gluten-free menu. And so now, when you show up at Trejo's, like at 4, 5, 6, and 7, you will see families with special needs children, because mom don't have to cook 3 different meals. You know, so they have certain nights that you show up for.
I mean, what's also interesting about the way you're reinventing the cantina in that way is also that, as you said, traditionally in cantinas, the food is it's fine. Yeah. It's not always that delicious, but it's meant for you to keep eating it so you can keep drinking.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a trick for everything, you know, but it's like
but you're putting good food in cantinas. I mean, that exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I taste everything. I get to eat for free, so it's cool.
What do you think of the food tonight?
It's delicious. You know, we got guys, and our chef, man, Hugo's unbelievable. I mean, he's, you know, and then we've got the people that work there. They're just so, you know, I don't want to hear about your mom, your dad. I just, hi, hey, I'm here to just make you feel good with, you know, food. That's the kind of people we got. You know.
So among the kind of historic LA bars and restaurants that you talk a lot about in the book, the one that keeps coming up is Musso and Frank's.
Musso and Frank's.
Why is that place so special?
Well, Musso and Frank's was, like, first of all, it's a Hollywood legend. I mean, the legends of Hollywood used to, and when you would be paroled out of a university, you kind of want to, like, you know, you either go to, if you got money, you know, you go to Musso and Frank's, yeah, give me, you know, and kind of like party there. And if you don't got a lot of money, you go to the pantry, you know, it's all night long. And it's kind of, it's where you could rub shoulders with, like, you know, wow, look at this, you know, John Boyd or there's whoever, you know. And then the pantry, you know, you don't know who you rub. But now the pantry's kind of like, it closes at 5 or something, you know, so people really stopped going down there. And then Reardon, didn't Reardon used to own that? Yeah. And so it was funny because me and Eddie Bunker, we would eat there like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning sometimes, you know, and that was when we were young, and you could eat a steak at 2:30 in the morning and still go to sleep. You know?
Can't do that anymore. So I want to ask you, when I was reading through the book, it seems to me there's a period in your life that I thought was very influential on this book and on the cantina concept for you. Hear me out. You tell me if I'm onto something, which is, you mentioned being paroled from the university.
San Quentin.
Yeah, so let's say, so this is 1969.
Yeah.
So between 1969, when you're out of San Quentin, up to your first film in 1985,
right,
you, among other things, helped build the Cinerama Dome in Hollywood. So not only were in Hollywood, but helped to build, from the perspective of actually building it as a worker.
No, wait, that's wrong. I built the Cinerama Dome before I went to the university, because we built that in 62, I think. In 1962 is when we started, but we didn't build the dome. We just built the dome, the top. We built it out in the San Fernando Valley and built it, and then they shipped it out here and made it. You know,
and then in that same period, once you were out, you also started working for sober living houses and started working as a drug counselor. And I think both of those things are really important for the story of this book. Your connection to Hollywood, that is both on the screen but also behind the screen, literally helping to build the screens, and then working in a new life for you as a sober person, which shapes the book.
I had a recovery center, a recovery house on 3rd and Western, right across the street from the the YMCA there on, I think it's on 3rd. I think it's on 3rd. There's a YMCA. And I made a deal with the YMCA to let my guys from the recovery center shower and shave and stuff in there if they work out, and we would be their security. And he wanted my guys for security rather than burglarizing it. And but we had a big house. We had about almost 30 people in this house. And in fact, it was before all the laws came in about recovery centers. You had to have this, you had to have that, you had to have fire escapes, you had to have all that. In fact, I had a recovery center, and the state of California used to send me parolees, and the county of Los Angeles would send me people on probation, and then people would just come in off the streets that needed detox and stuff. And it's funny because I was working for a place called Western Pacific MedCorp that I still work for them, and they would send me people on methadone that wanted to detox, and then we had people on, and so this was before we were even licensed. You know, I mean, it was like, you know, we had contracts with the state of California, and none of the contracts were valid. We just got paid. You know, I mean, no, because we weren't licensed, and there was just so much drugs that people didn't have a place to go to. So everybody just kind of opened it up for us, and then pretty soon they started coming in with, you know, you had to have a college degree, and you had to have this, and you had to have so many psychiatrists working in, and I was going to say grand mal seizure, but I had a grand mal license. What do you call it when they grand mal you in or grand mal you in?
Grandfather.
Yeah, they said college okay, but I had already gotten I sold it, and so made a little money and went to Vegas.
And you've been sober since
1968.
1968.
Yeah.
And this is extra relevant for the book because your cantina doesn't only sell alcoholic drinks. Yeah. You have non-alcoholic drinks as well.
Drinks, yeah. And I do that just because a lot of times, even me, like I'll go into a club or something and I'll order, you know what I mean? I love cranberry juice and Sprite. You know, that's my favorite drink. And, you know, as long as somebody doesn't hear me order that and they see me drinking this, they won't say, but if somebody, you don't drink? No. Oh, no, yeah. No, come on. No, I don't drink. Why not? Because I don't want to beat you up. Come on. Look, I'm going to wait till you get drunk. I'm going to take your wife home, okay? I don't drink, that's all, you know. And some people just don't like it if you don't drink, you know. So we got these drinks that you can just order, and people won't bug you.
And the recipes, if you've had a chance to look through, these aren't just, it goes beyond cranberry and Sprite.
Absolutely.
These are very elaborate, non-alcoholic mocktail drinks.
We've got some great, they all taste good too. And I'll never forget, we sat around and drank them all. And I had a little more. And I liked them all. And I liked being able to drive home.
Exactly, and wake up the next morning after that steak. So there's a line in the book, the second chapter, that I thought was really interesting and pointed, which is you say, think like a prisoner, cook like a caterer. And you talk about your experiences in prison with food and how you had to develop a unique system for creating dishes. Could you talk a little bit about that?
You know, when you're like 16, 17, 18, and you go to prison, mom wants to help you, and dad's, oh my God, everybody's running and writing you and sending you money. But after your third trip, people are kind of like moving away, you know. And so what would happen on Sundays visiting day is all the guys that wouldn't get visits, we would have a spread, you know, and say, hey, bring this, bring that, just bring something. Guys would steal stuff out of the kitchen, and guys would show up with whole chickens already cooked, and some guys would, top ramen was the main dish, okay? Well, you get 5 or 6 cups of top ramen, you got a gourmet meal ready. And then you can put chicken in it or put whatever it goes. And it's funny, Clifton Collins, who's an actor, wrote a book. It's called Ramen. And they're all recipes from jail. The guys do, really, me and him separately, just, yeah, okay. No, then you mix it. And there's some great recipes in there, you know, and you would think you were eating gourmet, you know. Mm-hmm. And we would sit and enjoy the friendship and enjoy the camaraderie and enjoy the fact that, hey, let them, you know, they've got their stuff, we've got ours, you know, and you just adapt.
Sure. And it's also, so there's the camaraderie, the prison potluck, right, the family.
And the prison potluck, and you make a great meal, you know, so it's funny, but a lot of, I still do that, you know, I still get some top ramen and, let me see, what I got to do that, okay, ham.
But that's very much the spirit of so many of the recipes in the book, is to make something sophisticated and complex from very simple ingredients, and from a kind of small set of things to kind of DIY, make it yourself and customize it into something great.
My mom, I was going to say Latino families, but I honestly believe it's all families. Like at the first of the month, when you get the check, it's like you have these really, you know, elaborate kind of, he said, I would have pork chops, whatever. But close to like the 25th, the 20th, Mom used to have some stuff called out of the cupboard. And what's in it? What do you, just eat it, it's out of the cupboard. And it was just kind of, you know, whatever came out of the cupboard, and we mix it. My dad was good at we mix it, but so it was like, that was just the deal, and that's kind of the way I grew up, you know. So,
in that journey through various universities that you were in, just as context, this journey begins at a quite young age for you. First facility when you were 12.
Juvenile Hall.
When you were 12. And then San Quentin, Folsom, Soledad.
No, I didn't jump from Juvenile
No, of course.
I went to
you were advanced in the university.
Camp.
You skipped grades.
I was very advanced. Camp, youth authority, and then prison.
And so I'm just curious how your relationship with food, did it change throughout that experience in the way, because this book really speaks to that experience a lot.
Well, you know, if you are an inmate, you have trouble with prison food, but I hate to say this, but if you're a convict, you've kind of made peace with, I'm going to do the best I can in here. So you've already made friends with cooks. You've already made friends with people that can sneak stuff out of the kitchen. So you don't always eat what everybody else is eating. You know, if, you know, when we have meat, you get more, you know, and people will sneak it out of you pay, you know, but you have to kind of be a journeyman convict.
Your first meal once you were out of San Quentin?
My first meal when I got out of San Quentin was my mom's. I remember me and my dad were arguing about, you know, I guess, I don't know, him not getting up and hug me when welcome home, son. And I remember my mom bringing out a tray of cookies and saying, mijo, you want some cookies? And it was like, I'm 25 years old. I just got out of prison, and I'm going to have cookies and milk at Mom's. It was like, I know it was almost humiliating. And I know some of you people, well, you should have been grateful. I couldn't, you know, I didn't know how. And I remember my friend calling me up and saying, let's go to a meeting, and we left. And then my first real meal was at a place called the
It's Dupar's, right?
yeah, but it was Dupar's in the valley, and it's no longer there. But and I remember, man, God, they make the best pancakes in the world. You know what I mean? So I remember having 3 eggs over easy on top of a stack of pancakes, and extra bacon.
In the book, you write about that meal, and you say that it tasted like freedom.
It tasted better. I mean, it was like unreal. It's just that being with Frank Russo. I say that because he told me never to mention his name. Bastard. Rest in peace, Frank. And we were 2 girls, and I just remember, like, wow, this is like freedom, and that's where I kind of decided and thought about, I can't drink, and I can't use, and that's all there is to it.
And that idea that a meal can taste like freedom, or even greater than freedom, that food is connected to being free.
Yeah.
Has that shaped the way you approach your restaurants?
Well, first of all, it's like the restaurants. I won't stand for like flies or nothing. I mean, I like good food.
Yeah.
That's all simple. And it's funny, everything good that has happened to me has happened as a direct result of helping someone else.
Yeah.
That's how we got into the restaurant business. Gloria had me do this low budget movie, and it wasn't that I didn't want to do it. It's just I was thinking about more money. Because low budget movies usually will give you a sandwich, you know what I mean? And or they'll say, okay, we got 50 jacks, or 50 MC, and that's okay. But if you're 70 years old, you don't want to be eating too many jacks or too many Mickey D's. Pollo Loco is not that bad, but it's still. But so, anyway, she said, "This will be good." So anyway, I do this movie, and leave it to the agent. Damn thing turns into a trilogy. I made 3 movies: Badass, Badasses, and Badass on the Bayou. All of them are hits. They're all great. And but I met a producer named Ash Shaw on this movie, and he saw that if I would always bring like a bowl of tuna that I'd made at home and stuff. So if I didn't like what they were on, I just eat my tuna and my celery and onion and stuff. And Ash said, "Hey, you eat pretty good." Yeah. Why don't you open a restaurant? Jokingly, I said, "Trejo's Tacos," because my mom was an unbelievable cook. I mean, just unbelievable. And in the 50s and 60s, women didn't work, especially Latina women. In fact, I can remember, like, one of my uncles, my dad came from 11 kids, 6 brothers and 5 sisters. And I remember if one of the wives worked and we were at a family gathering, it was like humiliating, because I remember, like, my dad or something like, "Hey, Art, you want a beer? Oh, here, wait, hold on. Bonnie, can Art have a beer?" Because she worked. I mean, imagine how undressing that is. Get a skirt, Art. She said you could drink. And that was the banter. And I can just remember saying, "Hey, boy, my wife's never working. I don't want to have somebody ask if I can have a drink." I mean, but that's the way that I grew up. So every time I wanted to piss my dad off, I said, "Man, Mom, these are good. We should open a restaurant, Mom." You could see my just like, stab the table. "Hey, I got an O'Keefe and Mary right there. Go cook whatever the hell you want. I'll pay you. And it was just a taboo. So when I said that, I started laughing because I didn't even remember. I just said, yeah, Trejo tacos. And I started laughing. And Ash brought us a business plan. And I looked at the first page. There was no killing, no murder, nothing. So it was not very excited. Gave it to Gloria, and Gloria kind of said, this is like a no-brainer. You know, because usually when somebody comes to me with an idea, they need 150 grand up front or 50,000 up front. And these guys were just saying, let's go into business together. We got 5 restaurants, a donut shop. We're opening up one in Detroit, like the House of Blues.
Amazing.
And we're opening up in London. So I'm learning the London Star Spangled Banner or whatever they got over there.
Incredible.
It's going to be like fun.
You've talked a number of times tonight about the importance of not taking and then giving. And there's a line in the book that I thought was quite beautiful where you say that ever since I got out of prison, I've sought to comfort people rather than seek comfort.
I think comfort comes. You know, I think comfort comes. If I'm looking for a compliment, I usually get the finger. You know what I mean? But if I'm just trying to help somebody, it's like you just, you know, sometimes you can see it in their eyes that they might not know how to say thank you. But it's like just unbelievable, you know, when you feel good about what you did. That's what, you know, that's kind of what motivates me, even though I might go kicking and crying doing it.
Right.
You know, but then after I did, wow, that really feels good.
And was that a belief that you've had your whole life, or did that come later? That idea about giving comfort to other people instead of seeking it. Was that something you learned at an early age, or did that come later?
You know what? It's kind of like my uncle Gilbert. He always says, "Yeah, help the underdog." Always. This is always his deal. Don't be a bully. Bullies, you know. And I hate bullies. I beat up so many bullies. I guess I was a bully. I was a bullier, you know. But I just hated bullies, and I think that's kind of what I started. Even in juvenile hall, what you start doing, start protecting the little guys, you know. And in San Quentin, me and Tyrone Wright made a lot of money protecting the kids that came, because in the '60s they were like free love and free acid and free. So all these young kids were coming to the joint. You know, and you know, you get some kid out of Westwood that's never been in trouble, and all of a sudden he's sitting in the penitentiary. It's like, you're gonna have trouble here, kid. Yeah, and how come? Because there's no girls, and you look like a girl. You know, so that's simple. And so we would trying to say it a nice way. In prison, it's protection. Out here, it's extortion. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's the way it is. You know, in prison, look, you want to get raped, you want to get beat up, then get out of here. If you don't want that, give us some money. And it's that simple. And most of I used to get letters after I got out of prison from parents and kids and stuff that said, you know, thank you for sending my boy back a boy. You know, so.
Amazing. So as we've been talking about, these stories are all woven into this new book where you really effectively mix these stories of your time in prison, your time out of prison, the birth of the restaurants, and then all these amazing recipes in the book. I wanted to mention a couple recipes. First of all, do you have any favorites of your own?
What, recipes?
Yeah, from this book.
You know, I'm sorry. My favorite is the Baja fish taco, because I love fishing, right? I don't get to go often, but the last time I went fishing, I caught a 220-pound bluefin tuna. And I remember cutting a big chunk out of it and having sushi right on the boat. And it was like, God, it was almost still breathing. It was unbelievable. and then we were in Cabo San Lucas. We took that whole tuna to a restaurant and said, feed us for a couple of days. You know, okay, they loved us, you know, because they'd sell that stuff for $80 a pound or something. But that was my tuna.
That's your favorite. Well, what I love is that you take a lot of more traditional Mexican recipes and you give them, in many cases, a very LA twist.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about a couple, or just mention a couple. One is that instead of a Manhattan cocktail, it's the Los Angeles.
Yes.
Because you add pasilla, chile spiced vermouth.
A little bit.
Yeah, it's very LA. You got not just a smash burger, but a chorizo smash burger.
Delicious. I love it.
Which is going to be the first thing I'm making out of the book.
Chorizo is actually the breakfast of champions if people don't realize it.
And then you've also got not just an empanada, but a burger empanada that you say was inspired by LA drive-through burgers.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to tell you something. Our Friday night fight, our fight night nachos are the best in the world. And what we do is we first put a tray of tortilla chips down, and then we do a complete nacho libre up on top. Just great nachos. And then we put another bed of chips, and then another, double it, simply because if you've ever eaten nachos, you eat the top, and then you got a whole plate full of tortilla chips, and you're either gonna throw all those tortilla chips out, or, so we just made it, let's make a double decker. So you got chips to the end. I love that.
One of the things you talk about amidst all of these endless chips in the book is that this is a city, especially you noticed, of course, during COVID, but not only in COVID, that there are so many people who can't afford to eat in restaurants and are on the street. We live and are blessed to live in a city with so many incredible restaurants. We are also still one of the great epicenters of food insecurity and hunger in the country. How do you think about your work with food and the kind of chronic epidemic of
you know what,
homelessness?
I think the good Lord let us stay open because we never stopped feeding the homeless. We never stopped going to hospitals. And they like, you know, we were watching nurses get out of station wagons folding blankets because they were afraid to go home. Remember when the pandemic first started, it was like just crazy. Everybody was nuts. They were scared to go home. They were scared to take a shower. They didn't know what to do. They were burning clothes. And I think that that's all we did. We just kept feeding people. And there's a lot of places that were destroyed and nobody touched our spots, you know. Thank you.
A theme that comes up in a lot of your books, this is not your first book, obviously, is redemption.
Yeah.
What's the role of food and restaurants in redemption, do you think?
Well, you know what? It's like, first of all, I see very few people hungry and in a good mood. You know what I mean? It's like, don't be near me if I'm hungry. First, I'm telling you, I'm not a nice, and so it's like, you know, it's like food is the calming, you know, food calms the angry beast or whatever, you know what I mean? So when you come into our restaurant, we try to get you served as soon as you can, because the longer you wait, the hungrier you get, you know. And so it's like, I've got a great staff, you know, and I think that's the key is good food, promptness, and nobody cares about your problems. And I'm talking about the waiter and the waitress. Nobody will care. You know, they listen to mine better, you know. So and that's kind of our motto, you know, hey, get them fed, you know, make them happy. And I think food is the best way to get happy, especially if it's good.
I'm going to take advantage of this to ask a question about one of your classic films. A film I loved growing up, still love, called Blood In, Blood Out. I won't say that some people used to call me milkweed. It didn't happen. But I wanted to ask you about the fact that you shot that film. That film was shot in San Quentin.
Yeah.
And there were scenes that were shot in the actual cell that you were in.
Cell C550.
What was that like?
That was like the best place in the world I've ever prayed. And me and a friend of mine, George Perry, who the first time he was in San Quentin was 1939, and he did 6 jolts. And then he got out. I was his sponsor, and he's clean. Before he passed away, and we would go into Quentin. It's funny because we got off the bus, and in a scene we were getting off the bus, and as I got off the bus, you say your number, right? And so they gave everybody a number. Well, I said B948 because that was my real number. And I said B948 and marched it down. And then George got off and he says 27275. And the guy, well, what was your letter? And he looked at the guard and said, I was here before they had letters. And the guard almost turned, what? Oh. And took him immediately to the San Quentin Museum and videotaped my best friend on how it was when they were wearing stripes and working in the quarry and stuff, and San Quentin used to be completely self-sufficient. They had a farm, they had a nursery, they grew everything, and then when the politicians came in, they started funding, and so slowly all the dairy went out. Everything now is completely supported by taxes, and in fact, all the prisons are, So, and like I said, the only ones that are self-supported are like Angola and the ones in the South, because they still let them work. Here, it's cruel and human punishment. I don't know. Teaching somebody how to work is bad. So. But that's what we used to do. We used to pray, and it was so funny. It was like we would pray, and the prisoners that would walk in, because we were like the leaders of the gangs, right? The real prisoners walked in. It's our boss. They're praying. And it was just kind of like funny, but it didn't matter because I knew, dear Heavenly Father, thank you for bringing back here and reminding me that I can be here that quick. Road rage.
Indeed. Well, I think this new book is just another testament to really the power of redemption over time and the way that you've used your restaurants, you've used your love of Mexican-American culture and cuisine and life to present a whole new chapter over and over again in your story. And you've given that gift to everybody who reads the books and hopefully makes food from these incredible recipes.
I just, like I said, it's like my life has turned into a big dream. Tomorrow I leave for New York for the Channel 2 Late Show. Who is he? Stephen Colbert. Mm-hmm. And then, it's the first time they ever asked me.
I'm wondering, do you think that interview will be as good as this one?
What? No.
No. Good answer. Good answer,
I think they were scared to ask me before, but I'm going there, and then from there I go to Chicago to do a movie, and then from there I fly to Calgary to do a Comic-Con. I love Comic-Cons because you get to meet people and stuff, and talk to them.
Time for questions. Just a quick reminder, questions around here, I always like to say begin with a W or an H, sometimes a D. They are generally short. There is no such thing as a two-part question, and tonight only Josh gets to ask the follow-up questions. While you guys are thinking about questions, we have one that came in from a gentleman in North Carolina who wants to know about the first movie, Runaway Train. Could you tell us the story of how that movie, how you came to be in that movie?
I said everything good that's happened to me has happened as a direct result of helping someone else. And a kid called me up and said, hey, I'm having a lot of problems with blow. 1985, cocaine was rampant in movie studios. I mean, completely. I can remember watching Johnny Carson and who was it? It was Sammy Davis Jr. because Johnny said, "What is that?" And he goes, "Oh, that's my Coke spoon." It's on national television, right? Oh, really? Yeah, you know. And I thought, wow, that's national TV. But you got to remember that in those days, if cops busted you with cocaine, they said, "Get the hell out of here." And they'd take it. They wouldn't even, because that way they could stay up all night. I don't know. But they wouldn't even bust you for cocaine. And so, 85, it was rampant. And he said, "Hey, come on down." So I helped me out. I went down, and it was the movie set of a movie called Runaway Train with John Voight and Eric Roberts. And I walked on set, and this guy says, "Hey, do you want to be in this movie?" And I said, "What do I got to do?" He says, "Do you want to be an extra?" I said, "An extra what?" And he says, "Can you act like a convict?" That's what San Quentin, Folsom, Vacaville, Susanville, Sierra, Tracy. So I'll give it a shot. And he goes like this. I'm wondering, what gang sign is that? And then he says, I took off my shirt to put on the blue shirt. And I have a big tattoo that's better known than me. And he leave your shirt off. So I stand without his shirt, and I'm looking at this old guy. I hate saying old guy. He's probably about 60, you know what I mean? And I'm looking at this guy, and he's staring at me, and I'm, "Who is it?" And he comes up and says, "Hey, you're Danny Trejo." I go, "Yeah." "Yeah." He says, "I saw you win the lightweight and the welterweight title up in San Quentin." When he said that, I said, "You're Eddie Bunker." And Eddie Bunker was the most powerful inmate in the institution. He was the captain's clerk. Now, what that means is that if a guard is bugging you, searching your cell all the time or whatever, you can go to the captain's clerk and say, "Look, I got $50, Holmes. What do you need?" I said, "Get this guy out of my hair." And so Eddie would say, "Okay, transfer to 12 to 6 a.m. shore, because there's a gun tower right outside the prison in the shore, right?" And while the captain is signing stuff, Eddie would just slide that in, and he'd sign it, and all of a sudden, that guard was on the shore at 12 a.m. "What do I do?" And so we started talking, and he said, "Hey, are you still boxing?" And I go, "Hell no, shit, are you kidding? I'm 40 years old." And he says, "We need somebody to train one of the actors how to box." Now, they were going to give me $50 for acting like a convict. And I remember I told Eddie, "They're going to give me $50 for acting like a convict." And we both laughed because we've been doing that for free forever. You know, I'll take $50. And he says, "You know what? We need somebody to train one of the actors how to box." And I said, "What's it pay?" And he says, $320 a day. And I said, "How bad do you want this guy beat up?" And he said, No, you can't beat him. This guy's really high strung. He's already socked a couple of people." I said, "Eddie, for $320, give him a stick. I've been beat up for free." And I started training an actor named Eric Roberts for a movie called Runaway Train. And Eric, bless his heart, at that time was a movie star. Okay, now movie stars are very entitled. They can ask for green M&Ms or pink M&Ms if they want. You know, somebody's going to give them, okay. And Andrei Kozlowski, this was his first American movie. And so it was so funny, he did not know how to handle somebody who would just go off the handle and walk into their trailer, right, and refuse it. And so I started, "I'll train him at $320, are you kidding? God." And that fight was supposed to be in 2 days. And I started training Eric, and Andre moved it. And he saw that Eric wanted to learn how to box, first of all, And on a heavy bag, if you know how to hit it, you can make it sound like a cannon. You know, bam! You just all over the gym, you know. And he said, well, I want to learn how to do it. Okay, but do everything I say. Okay. So if they wanted Eric, they would tell me, Danny, go get it. Then we go train. And it worked out really, really, I'll never forget. It's like after I trained Eric, Andrei Kozlowski, the Russian aristocratic director, his grandfather wrote the Russian national anthem. So he was one of those really aristocrat, you know, the one with the leather on the sleeves, them guys. And he comes up and he goes, you be in movie, and you fight Eric in movie, and you be my friend. Now, some of you know, if you come from a prison background, wait a minute, hold on, red flag. By friend, what do you mean? You know what I mean? It's like, are we going to shower together? What are you talking about? You know what I mean? It's a whole different connotation. In prison, friend doesn't mean the same thing, you know. And then he kissed me on both cheeks and walked away. And I looked at Eddie Bunker and I said, hey, I'm going to train that kid for the 320, but if I got to kiss that old man, I want more money. No, he's European. If I would have found out what that old man did by giving me that SAG card, I'd have come over and washed his back. You know, changed my whole life completely. And I got an agent, Gloria. And so it was like, wow, wait a minute. You mean I'm making $320? I wasn't making that a month. You know what I mean? It was like, and all of a sudden, it's like I'm working 2-3 days a week, and I'm SAG, so I'm getting paid. And come on, I did the movie so weird. It was like I had directors say, okay, Danny, yell something prison-y. I'm going to kill your mother. Oh, God. You know, and the people say, where did you study? San Quentin, Folsom. I mean, it was just, that was my study, you know. And I realized that, wow, this acting stuff is like pretty cool and pays well, you know. And Eddie Bunker was the one that said, everybody that you work with, make them want to work with you again. Mm-hmm. And everybody can think you're a movie star, but you can't. Mm-hmm. And I said, what do you mean, Eddie? He said, come here. And we walked over to like a real movie star, right? And everybody was like, ooh. They were like loving, wow, this guy. And then he walked away. And the first word, I like to stab that guy in the back. And just, wow. So every situation I'm in, have to leave better, period. And I'm not a movie star. I'm getting to be a really good actor. You know, that's cool. That's good enough for me because it pays the same.
And good tacos. Yeah.
You say in the book, variety is the salsa of life. What has it been like living a life that is?
It's been 3 lives. It's been 3 lives. The life that I've had. God, growing up, I was traumatized by my dad. It's funny because people say, were you molested? I said, no. I said, don't you feel like your uncle giving you marijuana when you were 3 and giving you a fix of heroin, when you were 8, and giving you a fix of heroin when you were 12? Don't you feel that was abuse? I thought, no, I thought it was sharing. You know, he was, it's good. You know, so I never, I just grew up the way I grew up. But the thing that I say today, and I have to say this, the marijuana that I smoked in the 60s and 70s, the 50s, 60s, is not the marijuana that they're smoking now. I smoked a plant. People today are smoking chemicals, and you can argue all you want. You guys that smoke weed, I know, and I know growers. And they Bump that in there, boy. So watch out for what you're smoking. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny. Is it on? 1969, we are living in East LA. Riots break out. Me and my cousins are on the streets. Ruben Salazar gets killed. And just wondering what that event or those types of events impacted you and your cooking.
In 69, I just come out of the joint in 1969. I come out August 23rd, 1969. The riots, I'm trying to remember what riots broke out. I know they broke out in the 70s, and we hung out. I think that's what you said. I'm not sure.
That's right.
Yeah, but that was a really sad time, really. That was a really sad time when LA was burning. But the funniest thing I saw, I want to make a poster so bad, because I was coming over La Brea like this, right? And all that was burning. And there was like 4 squad cars. Got this one Mexican lady right on the corner where Highland comes into La Brea. Yeah. Right there in that little spot. There's like 4 squad cars all around her, and she's selling oranges. But no, the picture would have been perfect from like right here, that way. Everything burning in LA, and them taking pictures of a Mexican lady selling oranges. And that was all political anyway. I don't care what anybody says. You know what I mean?
What's your secret place in the valley that I need to go check out?
If you have a favorite restaurant or a favorite secret restaurant in the San Fernando Valley that you can check out.
You know what? I go to I got a restaurant right by my house. It's called Tres Hermanos. And it's right on the corner of Plummer and Sepulveda. And it even got my own chair reserved, Danny Trejo, you know what I mean? And it's just like perfect to just walk down and get huevos rancheros. I don't have to drive to the restaurant, you know, but that one, and there's a one, if you look under health food in the San Fernando Valley, Huggly Wuggly's beef barbecue. Good barbecue, I gotta say. Those are my 2 favorite in the valley. And we had one in Woodland Hills, but the building closed during the pandemic, and we haven't been able to open it again.
Hey, Danny. Wanted to know any directors you would still love to work with that you haven't worked with as of yet.
Damn, I wish I could remember one I didn't work with. You know what? All the directors I've worked with are cool. I don't worry too much about directors. You know, it's like I realized a long time ago that he wouldn't be a director if he wasn't good. You know, because nobody's going to throw $10 million at somebody that ain't that good. So when I show up, I kind of make it a point to understand I'm the actor, he's the director. That means he's going to give me direction, I'm going to act. You know, and it makes it for a lot. I know, I've known actors that every time it's going to be their scene, they'll go, wait, hold on. Now what size lens are we? You know, it's, and they will start like discussing the scene, right? And they hate it when I'm around, because I'll go, okay, hey, we'll all wait, okay, till you go to school for directing, and so, but they can't beat me up, so I don't care.
How often are you in your actual restaurants? Kind of like, you know, Planet Hollywood, owned by celebrities, and customers go in there kind of hoping to see those guys. How often are you in your places?
I think I spent more time at the restaurants than I do at home. I'm leaving for 3 weeks. I'm gonna miss the food, you know. But I start out like, you know, eating at the cantina, and then I'll run over to La Brea just to see how it's going. Go over to not Dupar's, I'm sorry, next to Dupar's, the Grove. You know, I got Dupar's with the Grove because that's where me and the guy that got me into film, Eddie Bunker, that's where we always eat with Dupar's. But so that's why we had to put a restaurant. right next to Dupar's, and so I check them all. You know, I'm pretty frequent at all of them. I gotta say.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah.
People like that.
Well, you know what? But I found is that, like celebrities that come and open a restaurant in L.A. and then go back to Florida, go back to New York, go back. It's like the restaurant goes down because they're no longer like the face of it. They're just the name of it. You know what I mean? And people like see me.
What was it like working with Michael Mann on Heat?
Michael Mann's insane. You can tell him, Danny Trejo said that, but he is so meticulous. It is like, what do you call them people that have to like, oh wait, that picture, and we'll have to move the picture because it's, he is unbelievable. We were talking about safes because we cracked the safe in that movie, right? Val Kilmer started working with the safe, and he had made a statement about something, and I says, that's not true. And he goes, yeah. And then he just kind of like shut me off. So I went down to my safe guy, right? A guy that deals with safes, and I talked to him about a wheelie round door. A wheelie round door was the only safe that you could like you know when they put the what do you call it, scope, the scope, and you hear it, and you'll hear a little click, and then you turn it back and click. That was the only safe. And when I went and I asked him, he goes, no, they changed that, Danny. They changed that about 8 years ago. It's you can no longer crack a safe like that. I said, oh, really? And then he says, do you know Michael Mann? I go, yeah, why? He says, he was in here about 4 months ago and was playing with all my safes. But that's how meticulous this guy is, you know, and I mean, he's amazing, but he gets what he wants, and he will take. I remember, I pride myself with getting at the most 3 takes. That's it. I'm ready. You did 1, you did 2, and you got 1 for safety, and I'm good at that. I pride myself in that. And he's got me doing like 8, 9 takes. And finally, I got like I started getting frustrated. Michael Mann, like I'm 25 years older than him. He goes, check this out, kid. I made De Niro do 15, okay? And then walked away. I couldn't stop laughing. But he will, that's why his movies are so unbelievably great, man. There's never been a movie like Heat. You know, there's never been a gangster movie like Heat.
Big round of applause for Danny Trejo.